And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Well, hello and welcome. It's Amateur Radio Amplified on 100 Watts and a Wire. Welcome to the show. It's Christian. My call sign is Kilo Zero Sierra Tango Hotel. And whether you're an experienced ham radio operator or just getting started, this show is designed to educate, entertain, and inspire a community of enthusiasts worldwide. You're listening to episode number 387, Etiquette on the Air. Well, what are the best practices? I had an alternative title for this, but I don't know. We'll just have to mention that as we go. We also invite listeners from Facebook and Discord, YouTube and TikTok to join us for the live recording every Sunday at 6 o'clock. And you can watch the live stream on our YouTube channel and subscribe to the podcast. It'll be automatically sent to your device. We encourage interaction, so we'd like to mix it up here in the live chat. During the show, you can send your questions and comments through email, social media, our live chat, and we'll do our best to address those questions. If you have a question and you're here right now, put a Q in front of it, and we will try to put that in the queue. Later in the show, we'll open up a Zoom room, and for direct engagement with our listeners, we'll also be giving a little bit of net coverage tonight. 7 o'clock Central is when we do our net. Steve, W7UDI, is here joining me this week, and we're going to be talking about something that we just want to lay a groundwork for our new or newer hams, talking a little bit about etiquette on the air and what are our best practices, and we're committed to helping the new folks get in and trying to give them a little hint. We know there's not enough mentors going around right now, and if we can help you with that, let us know. Your questions are always welcome. Steve, how are you doing, sir? It seems like our weeks are just filled with busy, and here we are.
Man,
we're
It's been nuts, work-wise and everything else. Family, just really haven't had a chance to spend too much time on the air this week. It's just been life. Life is just kind of piled on, and just trying to get things done. But did get on the air over the weekend, and just happy to be here.
As I look through my calendar, the Pooping Pooches calendar provided by Big Ben, he sends these out to the crew. We appreciate that. I can tell, and I cannot believe that we're already at the 15th of January, already
Exactly,
2 weeks
I
in.
know.
It's nuts.
Wow.
Absolutely nuts. But anyway, there you go, and that's what's happening. Let me bring in Scotty and see how Scotty's doing. He's watching the back door, if you
You know,
the back end. I don't know what you call that of that, but if you've got a question, put a Q in front of it. He'll hook you up with all the important links, our Discord servers, all those things, and our Zoomy Roomy. In the description of the live stream, you can find all these links and join us a little bit later when we take some questions. How are you, Scotty? What's going on out east?
doing well. Been a little break. We had some wonderful weather. It was in the 60s for quite a few days in a row, and now it's back down into the more seasonable weather for our mid-Atlantic region. So, breezy and in the 40s.
As we we record to tape, we are at 46 degrees here. We got lots of tape here, big reels behind us capturing all of this stuff. We like to do it through the audio of the Neve board. Scotty runs it through his Neve board there on the East Coast, so we do everything on tape. Tell him, Scotty.
We're recording at +6, 370 nanowebers per meter.
All right.
So speaking of consoles, a great thing at work. When I first went back to the studio, some folks may have seen in the Discord, I was working on this old SSL console trying to get the automation up and running, and there's the green monochrome screen, and I think in order to try to sell it, and I think we've got a buyer. So
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, feeling good that my first big project coming back, and it's looking like it might be quite successful. So that's good.
We do have to tell you, we will not be selling the 100 watts and wire Neve board.
No, the Neve does not get sold.
We're going to keep that, and because it makes it sound good, or at least it tries really hard.
And we need all the help we can get.
We need all the help we can get. Because if he flips the switch on the Neve, I start coming out. Hold on, let me push it.
So hit tape a little harder and smooth off the transients, and it gives.
Can you hear this?
Fans the sound.
Do you hear the difference in my voice from when I do like the Neve, and then we hit the thing? See, my voice does this, and then we're back at it. Like, I can't have that. Funny little story, real quick, before we get into our etiquette stuff. I used to work at a radio station in Baltimore called WGRX. They've since flipped and went country. I think they called themselves Froggy at the time. I don't know. I was working to get to 98 Rock, and I ended up getting over there. But while I was at WGRX, we used to run a show called Flashback. And this guy would go back to different years, and I love this show, man. I loved it. And I would run it real early in the morning, and you'd hear, "This is Flashback, and I'm John St. James." And you're like, damn, this guy, why don't I go to law school? I should get out of this, man. These guys sounds great. Anyway, it turns out that, I can't remember what the guy's name was, but it was a real show. Well, he sent all his voice tracks to a guy like Scotty, and they would put balls on the man. Like they would they would lock in humongous balls. And then his voice, because I was like, and he'd be like, "Okay, here's alternative take number 5. You're listening to Flashback." And then it would come out like, "You're listening to Flashback." I was like, wow, they're doing like trickery. He had a nice voice, but it was not what you heard. And I was like, whoa, man, this is kind of tripping me out. Meanwhile, I end up going to 98 Rock, and then I go to Philly and meet Earl Bailey, who's the voice you hear in this show. And Earl is Earl. His balls were attached at birth. Right in there, right? And he's like, "You should have went to law school," like, I'm like, oh my God.
You have to turn on the high pass filter for his mic.
He is the man. He's definitely the man. And you can hear him on deep tracks on the satellite radio, Sirius XM. He's the deep tracks guy, and you listen to him. That's one of my early mentors and my dear friends, Earl Bailey. But anyway, just a little bit of, sometimes you hear these shows and you think, wow, man, they sound like, what a great voice. And then sometimes, maybe not as much as it used to be. They've been manipulated. Like, he could have been a really just great host, but didn't have as much punch in his voice, and they just added this kind of compression and whatever. Anyway, I've gotten off track here, just getting into the radio talk. But
it goes back to the sound man can make you or break you.
That's right.
So keep your sound man happy.
Yeah. So we're not selling the Neve board. We paid a lot of money for it, so we are definitely going to keep that.
Well, if we keep selling the Nanu 4-pixel cameras, we'll make enough money.
I tried to trade the Super Plus second version for a Neve. I was like, I'll give you 4 of them. They were like, police, security. We want to teach the next generation of ham radio operators and the ones that are working now some of the etiquette. I think etiquette's a tough word. It's kind of, it makes you think of please pass the gray poupon and just put your thing just so, and not quite that. But etiquette's
we're not going to go there.
We're not doing that, but it's kind of like some parameters, if you will, to kind of operate. We're not doing the
pinky while we drink our drink.
No, although we do meet for tea at high noon on Wednesday, we and then we change our voice to sound like this. From this, hey Scotty, can you hit the Neve while we're having our tea?
Buffy.
Turn up the Optimod a little bit. There we go.
Is that a poodle? Is that your poodle, Reggie? Sorry. Oh, bourbon will do things to you that you didn't expect.
Oh, yeah. It'll do all kinds of things to you, like tequila.
Up. Yeah, a little tequila. Yeah. I want to remember who I am if I have to do the thing. But,
why?
But, yeah. But bourbon helps me loosen up my buttons. Anyway, we're going to talk about some best practices on the air. I just have 4 categories, and you guys are welcome to chime in. And I invite everybody who's here now for the live show. You're always welcome as we record this. It's just we send it out and just to do that, record it and send it to a podcast. But I've got four areas I just want to touch on, and I invite Steve and Scotty to give their own. And I don't want to make it a gripe session or let's crap on CB or let's crap on whatever. There's some things that you probably need to know, because my education early in this game came from listening, right? Which is a great thing. You should listen. But you're also hearing some things that may not quite be right, So if you adopt those things, you may be bringing on the sort of wrong. That's kind of my intention of talking about this today. What do you think, Steve?
Oh yeah. There's some great operators, and there's not so great operators. Excuse me. And if you listen a long time and you just kind of say, hey, I kind of like what so-and-so is doing and how they operate, I want to mimic them. Well, is so-and-so, someone that you really want to mimic, or is it somebody else? So it's, it all comes down to it. And in listening is very important. Just kind of get a feel for how things flow, and yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, it's just to figure out, and then try to emulate someone that you respect and you appreciate how they operate on the air, and that's a way to to get into the hobby. As if you're brand new and you're trying to figure out all the lingo and all the ham speak that we have. Just, that I always tell everybody is just be yourself, and kind of think about how you interact with people when you meet them in person, and try to do the same on the air. And because a lot of people, they'll get behind these microphones and they, little douchebaggery starts coming out at times, and that's not cool. And your experience with interacting with others, and even with different cultures, will go a long ways. So it's a kind of a tough road, but think about as how you would react to someone when you meet them in person versus on the air and hiding behind a microphone or a keyboard, whichever mode you're using.
There you go. And we'll get some reaction from the community as well, from Facebook and things like that. But I've got 4 points. We can make them, and these are just sort of tips that we can talk about with the newer hams and new hams in mind. Give them a little bit of a gauge. Let's start first. Number one, and you guys are welcome to chime in, of course. Our chat room here, thoughts, questions. Put a Q in front of those. But let's get into it. Let's talk about proper identification, okay? And what I'm talking about is always giving your call sign. It helps if you give your location. That sort of helps during the transmission for others to know where you're connecting to them from. Let's talk about proper identification first, Steve. And I'll give a quick example of something I did. I had a habit, and I think it was more of this isn't wrong, but it's kind of a little weird, is that I would give my call sign sometimes. And when we would do the net, I may say Whiskey 7 United Delta India, or Italy, as you would say. And then I would not give my full phonetic. I would say K0STH, or vice versa. I would say W7UDI, this is Kilo 0 Sierra Tango Hotel. And I kind of got the impression that it would be better to do them both the same way, which is kind of not, I don't know if it's technically wrong or not. But I want to give you some space here and get out of the way to talk about proper identification, things to think about when you're making that connection.
Well, we have Part 97 rules that says we identify every 10 minutes, and at the end of our transmissions is pretty much what the rule book says. But basically, we start our QSOs or conversations with our call sign, and the other station that we're talking with, their call sign. And then, every 10 minutes we have to identify our call sign. And usually it's good etiquette to identify the other person's call sign. But as far as the rules are concerned, and to be legal, is just remember your own call sign. There's times you're working and you're talking to somebody new and you're like going, oh, geez, I messed up their call or I forgot it. It's okay. Just remember yours and give it at least every 10 minutes because that's what the rules say. Some people have a tendency to be on the safe side. At the end of every one of their transmissions, they'll say their call sign. It's kind of one of those. It's okay, but if that's your style of operating, then so be it. Then you operate that way, and go on, Scotty.
Oh, I was gonna say you hear that on 2-meter repeaters all the time with everyone. After every exchange, everyone ends with their call sign.
And in some cases, like on repeaters or in the HF, you get into a big round table where you have 4 or 5 people and you have a few like me that will get in there and bloviate for, 15, 20 minutes in one breath. And yeah, by the time it gets back to you, you need to do your call sign at the end of the transmission. So, I mean, you just kind of have to feel it out and go from there. On the other hand, I try to stay, if I start with K0STHW7UDI, I try to keep it that way. But in the beginning or of a QSO, or if the band's starting to get a little scratchy or the QSB, then I'll go say the phonetics, both on the station I'm talking with and mine. It's just one of those, if I personally, and don't try to mix it up. But I have done it to where I'll say the person I'm talking with, their call sign phonetically, and then I'll rip out mine real quick and go from there. So it's but when it comes to IDing, that remember every 10 minutes, because the commission, that is their biggest that's the thing that really gets them under their burned under their saddle is a lot of people that have gotten infractions from the commission and stuff like that. Majority of them have been a failure to identify, and we're all guilty right here. There's times I get into a long rag chew and it goes like 20 minutes and it's like, oh crud, I didn't ID. So I mean, it happens. So it's just try to remember it and go from there.
Okay, we've got a new ham with us this evening. We need your call sign, Sheena. Sheena Marie may be the 0.1% lady of the audience, so we'll take it. Thank you and welcome. And being a newer ham, we are here to serve because I just got my 10-year. I can't believe this, Steve. Look at this. Would you imagine? They sent me this that said, "Thank you for giving us the money for 10 years, the league certified recognition of my 10th year." And boy, does time fly. And I remember I used this program to re-engineer my experience and go back to remember those times. And Steve was around helping me through that. In the beginning, I didn't have a mentor. And so now, we're dedicated to trying to help people and answer questions. So if you ever have one, drop a Q in front of it, drop us an email, whatever you'd like to do. A bigger, broader question may be, we're going to take a break here in a second, and then we'll get into another one. I knew these would open up and have great conversations. Scotty, there was a message from Pastor Joe. What did Pastor Joe say about IDing? Can you see that?
Oh, yeah. Pastor Joe was saying that when he first got into it, he tended to over ID on repeaters. I guess following on what I had said, for a long time he thought that he had to ID after every transmission, and I kind of the 2-meter activity around here when I first got my license. That's what seemed to be the norm. It's how you doing, KC3BXN? Mm-hmm. I'm doing fine. W7UDI. It's like every exchange. It's like and so that was like Joe. I had picked that up early on because that's what I heard on the radio. I didn't have any HF gear yet, so that's.
I think that's the key, man. That's my whole point, is that we get into this, and if you don't have a mentor, then you're kind of stuck with emulating and imitating what you hear on the radio. And sometimes that's not always good. Sometimes it's very good. But you do fall into these things and they become crutches too. A lot of the Q speak that we use are a lot of crutches, and that's my next point, but I think Scotty and I got a little business to take care of first. But so we'll come back to point number 2. Number 1, if you've got a thought on that proper identification, drop it in the chat. Scotty will pull that as we get into a little bit of history. Now, Steve and I are so damn old that we remember most of this stuff. Going back to January 19th, you want to talk about an old crotchety summer, my butt. He's chilled out now. You should have seen him in the 40s. January 19th, 1943, the FCC endorses restricted radio operator permits. And then on 1949, January 2nd, Claude Shannon. You remember old Claude? He lived down the road from us.
Claude, yeah. Good old buddy Claude.
He had a mule, and he would always shout as he went by our doorway, "Get up there, mule!" And that's what you'd hear from Claude Shannon. He ended up proving that mathematics of the Nyquist theorem. Had we known that mule would turn into a great... That's what he was thinking about, pulling that mule. The Nyquist, so part of this history is true. You decide what is not. The Nyquist theorem, proposed by Bell Labs engineer Harry Nyquist in the 1920s, laid the mathematical foundation for converting the continuous signal into discrete samples and reconstructing the samples back to a continuous signal. It's the foundation of digital signal processing. So thank you, Mr. Claude. Get up there, mule Shannon. Appreciate that. January 18th, 1983, I was buying Thriller from Michael Jackson. Maybe a little early for that. The first computer featuring a mouse and graphic user interface, the Apple Lisa, was unveiled. And there you go. Some of the cool things happening this week in radio history. Now it's time. Oh, girl. Hold on, I gotta get on the Neve board. Hey, girl. Wait, that's not it. The Neve.
That was more like an SSL.
Hey, girl.
The wrong knob.
That was my Jackson 5. Put it on the Neve. Hey. Scotty's here talking about some events. We are mid-January, and I do believe this time of year things are heating up. What's going on?
We got some things coming up next weekend. We have the North American QSO party. The single sideband version is happening next weekend. Also, that weekend, 21st through the 23rd, the ARRL January VHF contest. So get your rovers roving. And, yeah. And then,
Hey. Security!
Uncle Paul's been dropping some updates on the DXpedition going to Beauvais Island. He's been dropping some maps showing their Garmin maps tracking their location and their trip to the location on our Discord server. So some cool info there. He's all into it, and he's dropping all sorts of updates. And then there's been a big ado about the FT8WW doing this DXpedition on FT8, and apparently he's reached the end of his permitted HF transmitting permit, and he's applied for an extension, and he's waiting on that to try to continue to operate till about March 20th or so. So that operation is currently on hold.
He's taking a break, which is he really needs it. If you read the story about him, it's a one-man operation. He's been trying to operate as much as possible to get as many people, all new, all time, ANTO or whatever, something like that. All time new.
All time new one.
Yep, and but he's been predominantly operating FT8 and CW. So putting up his antennas. He's been limited on what kind of antennas he can put up because he's in a very sensitive area. Ooh. And I need more cowbell. Some more cowbell. And
bourbon, please.
And
pick up.
So it's been quite an operation, but he's hoping he's going to be on the island till mid-March. So he's hoping to get some more time, but he has to wait for the French government to permit him to operate more. So he had a 3-week window to operate, and done a great job for one guy. So good for him.
All right, good. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you, Steve. And support the community and content that you enjoy by visiting buymeacoffee.com/100watts. By visiting the site, you can explore all the benefits of supporting 100 Watts in a Wire, whether it's buying us a cup of coffee or becoming a monthly supporter. Your contribution keeps the community running. For only $1 per episode, that's just $4 a month. Our dipole level is a budget-friendly way to support the show and to show your appreciation. Visit buymeacoffee.com/100watts today and explore all the benefits, and thank you for your support. And we want to thank new supporters Kyle, KK7FEL, November 4, Mike India, and Marcus Garcia. Thank you. Ric Flair also thanks you. We appreciate you. All right. We did it. Thank you very much. We appreciate your attention, and we appreciate your ongoing support. It keeps us independent. We can do things, and we don't have to worry about what we're doing. We're here and community supported for the most part. We appreciate that. If you have a question, put a Q in front of it. We will be getting to some questions here in just a little bit. I didn't know I should have just come with one topic, Steve. I came with 4. I want to go into it's one topic, but 4 points, and I want to hit on them here so we can get to some questions. The next one is clear language. Using clear, simple language when communicating on the radio to better understand and have more effective communication. Mm-hmm. I would say initially avoid slang unless you're hanging out on 80 meters with the boys. You know what I'm saying? Introducing slang and jargon may get confusing. That's my tip, and again, it's for everybody. To each their own, do what you want to do, but clear communication and practicing that in the right places will help you if there is an emergency. And that may be another one of my points here tonight. But Steve, let's go into just clear language. What do you got to say about that?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty important. In the public safety world, which I reside in, we use basically clear text, as we call it. Is we don't use any 10 codes or Q codes, or we just speak it out in plain English so that everybody can hear. Because when you start using some kind of codes or ciphers or this or that, not everybody understands it. And we've adopted over the years Q codes, which was developed more into the CW realm to instead of spelling out and tapping out the what is my location is, it was QTH, and that was accepted. But in the voice band or in sideband and FM, it's pretty discouraged. I use some of it personally because I like the tradition of the Q code, but it's sprinkle it in here and there. Yeah, QTH is this, and or we're going to QSY, change frequencies, or QRZ during. You'll hear me say that because it just gets it a little bit more efficient. But most people understand it. But it can be used as a crutch if you go into it too much. So the more we can speak, just plain English and clear text, as we call it in public safety, the easier it is, and that everybody understands it. Because especially when you're new, you don't. What the hell is QSY? What the heck is QTH? And then you start learning it. And but there are folks that's a crutch for them. And we repeaters, a lot of repeater owners, they discourage it. There's some that are just vehemently angry if you use a Q code on their repeater, and it's just so you just kind of find your way in as you're walking down the sidewalk here, whether it's acceptable or not, wherever you're operating.
I think I remember hearing people say QSL, QSL, and then I'll hear new people, and I'll hear the young folks. I don't like calling them youngsters. When they call them youngsters on the air, I don't like that. It's kind of a weird marketing thing. I'm just like, just call them young hops or whatever you're going to call them. But youngsters on the air, gives you that kind of feeling. But anyway, that's just an opinion. But I hear them do it, and it's in their script. They go through my favorite color's blue, and my daddy's name is Charlie, and this is November Kilo at QSL. And I'm like, so it's being planted into the kids. It's injected into them where it's just not a normal conversation like you'd have on the phone or whatever. I am a purist in a lot of different ways. I understand the Q speak. I understand there's some things that this show has even said we need to let go of the term Elmer, which is, if anybody was even given a S about us, they would have probably said, "What the hell are these boys talking about? Getting rid of the term Elmer. I can't stand that son of a bitch." But nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention anyway. So, but that's a bit of an outdated term. It's not. But it's part of tradition. So I kind of get it. To each their own, I guess, is my overall tone here. But I think we are overusing some of these terms a lot of ways. Scotty, what do you think about simple language and communication?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the Q codes. There's so many different ones, and as a new ham, it's impossible to keep track of which one's supposed to be in what. I don't do CW, and then I guess that's a strike against me for being a no coder. But you over listening over time, you learn what QTH and QRZ and QSL and what these mean. But a new person feeling that this is the way that they're supposed to be speaking and interacting with people on the air, and they're not quite don't understand what the Q codes are trying to convey. It sends it can be frustrating, and it's clear text, clear voice. Absolutely.
KD5 PCK, it brings up a good point about people saying hi.
Excellent point.
Yes, excellent.
Can you just laugh? I mean, hi, and the joke isn't even that funny. Hi. I need I'm not even laughing. Like, I'm not even laughing telling you the joke. And my wife eats a lot of apples. Hi. Like, that shit ain't even funny. Stop saying hi. Like, and then the guy doesn't even have time to respond. Like, you're still talking. Like, then he comes on and then he's like, ha, your wife and those apples. I'd like to see that. Like, it's the furthest away from a natural conversation that you're going to find.
For those that don't know what hi is, that was the CW version of laughter.
LOL.
Or LOL in the Facebook vernacular or online. But we have so many people use it on the air, and it's like, dude, you don't need to do that. Just laugh.
Yeah,
it's okay.
laugh.
It is okay. We can laugh in ham radio.
Especially, just say something funny. Like, make it funny. You won't have to say anything. Hi. She eats those apples and gets a little drill on her chin there. Sometimes hi. Oh. Yeah, I'm ready to let that one go. Oh, my God.
Sorry. Yeah, we ran it on that one.
All right. Sorry, Pastor Joe.
SPCX.
Light a candle for me. It's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. That's not very natural. And meanwhile, you're still talking. So even if it was hysterical, the person who you want to hear get the laugh, it's just like I don't know. That's definitely one that doesn't work for me.
I mean, like the term Elmer, which is kind of getting cringeworthy with a lot of people coming into the hobby. The hi is I've had non-radio amateurs or non-radio, non-hams that have been around me, and they've heard it and they're like, what's this hi stuff? And I'm like going, they're trying to be laughing like LOL, but they don't want to laugh on the radio. And so they're like, that's stupid. And I go, yeah, I know. But
it's weird. And it's one of those things we're carrying along. Like, I get it if you're a Morse code operator and you're banging out the CW. I totally get it. Like, I'm joking. Hi, I'm just joking. I didn't really mean to go kill the lady with the apples. It's just a joke, right? But when you're speaking, let's just speak. Okay, let me get off of that. I want to hit the fourth one, so we can get to our questions and stuff. If you have a question, comment, put it in the chat. We'll bring it up and talk about it. Some great stuff happening here behind the scenes that we could talk about. I think going back, this kind of piggybacks into the clear communication. It's during emergencies, following protocol. And let me tell you what I'm thinking here. It's using the designated frequencies properly, providing clear identification, relevant information, and following the procedures when you're relaying information. Now, this may never, ever happen to you, but I can't tell you how many times I've heard a frequency on an hurricane net or whatever, somebody just stops up and here they come. And meanwhile, the news gets around. There's a hurricane going to hit, guys. And in a couple days, we're going to start using this frequency on 20 meters, this one on 40. Please leave this one open for us, okay? Because it's an emergency thing. What do you think about that, Steve? Let's talk about.
Oh yeah, and even the FCC will put out an announcement saying, "Hey, this frequency on 40 meters is going to be as designated as an emergency frequency. So, please, everyone, just kind of stay clear. If you're not involved in it, then listen. If you want to hear what's going on, that's a great way to. Oh, okay, the hurricane net or whatever net or radio traffic that's set up is going to operate on this particular frequency. So let's be mindful, respectful, and go ahead and and not participate unless you are part of the participation. You don't want to be part of the problem. You want to be the solution. And to be part of the solution is stay out, shut your mouth, and listen, unless you're part of the activity there. So it's just if you're part of it, then great. And then utilize the good operating techniques and clear, concise. And if you're passing messages, repeat what you've received and then go on. I'm going to go back to public safety. And in the utility world is when we get what's called switching orders, or if I get some commands from the IC, we repeat it back so that the person that gave us the commands understands that we understood what they said. So I need you to go to this location and do this. Okay, I'm going to that location to do that, and done. And then move on. So speaking clearly and concisely and utilizing the proper techniques that is acceptable for that group, then you'll be doing just fine. But for if you're not involved in it, just listen and see what goes on, and maybe you might want to get involved in that group in the end.
All right, Scotty, you got any final thoughts on that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, especially in an emergency situation. I know I've been reading some of this good stuff in the chats. Clear.
This one explains so much. Thank you. I'll share it with the listening audience here.
And the people that listen on the podcast, KD5 PCX says, I never listen for a clear frequency. I just start calling CQ and use K0SDH.
That explains so much. I get so much hate mail. It's because thanks, man. Appreciate it. Just kidding. Sorry, Scotty. What were you saying?
Oh, no, that's saying, but as Steve was saying, with things like the hurricane net and emergency situations, trying to pass traffic, then yeah, it's essential that you just use clear language and follow whatever sort of routine has been set up. Communication has been set up for that particular group for that situation. But yeah, it's no using the weird Q calls and another thing with the phonetics would be another thing that would probably set off some people with the.
Yeah, use your proper phonetics. If you're dealing anything with an emergency, don't play around. Those are my 4 points, guys. I think that I just wanted to hit on these 4 points today. Follow those protocols during emergencies. Do the proper identification with clear frequencies. Clear language is useful. They're just good practices. If you're with your buddies in a corner on 80 meters, hanging out, doing whatever, do whatever you like. Proper identification. These are the sorts of things that I wanted to get into this evening. I think there's some ham fests happening that we need to let the people know about. Scotty's here to tell us what's happening.
Well, we do have some ham fests coming up next weekend, January 22nd through the 28th. So it's a week-long thing going on. But it's the Quartz Fest in Quartzsite, Arizona. Somebody was on the Discord was inquiring about that a little bit. January 20th, Southwest Florida Regional Ham Fest. It's an ARRL Southern Convention in Fort Myers. And then quite a few more are going on. I have them listed in the events channel on our Discord server to see what else is going on in the coming weekend. Maybe you got a ham fest in your neighborhood, go get some that old roll of coax so you can make your double bazooka.
Yeah.
Double bazooker. I like it.
Bazooker.
Bazookers.
Well, thank you very much for that, Scotty. If you're looking for a power solution, check out BioNO Power, offering the best lithium phosphate batteries for your ham radios. Visit bionopower.com. That's BIOENNO power.com. And I want to let you know to learn more about 100 Watts in a Wire in our community. Visit 100wattsinawire.com. You can check out the podcast archive, register for your 100 Watt ID, get yourself a sweatshirt, trucker hat, sticker, mugs. It's all in there, 100wattsinawire.com. And thank you. All right, if you had a question and you want us to get to it, we will take question priority here in the house tonight, and one of those super chats. That goes down. If you have those, they jump right to the top of the pile, baby, and put you right up there. Okay, let's see. We have a question from James. Let's see if we can handle this one. Kilo India 5 Bravo. No. Kilo India 5 Oscar Echo Bravo. On CW, do you put your call sign on each transmission? Who's down with that? Who remembers that? I'm a no-code ham. Some of them are. You must, right?
Just identify every 10 minutes,
right.
Unless it's going to be a long transmission. But it's up to you when it comes down to if you want to sign your call at the end of every CW transmission. I wouldn't, but that's me. I just try to stay within the 10-minute rule and stay legal. But if that's the way you like to operate, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Let me ask the guys on 80 meters, guys. Is that right?
Yes. That's right, yes. Yes.
All right. Good answer there. Good answer. Hi. Giggle. Hi. If you like, go ahead and laugh. Hi. Fine business. All right. If anybody has a question, go ahead. You know what to do. We have a few others that have come in. Let's see what we can do with these. Question: what types of antennas are best for beginners? Great question, by the way.
The dipole. Well, let me back up. So when you talk about beginners, if it's going to be on 2 meters, and if you want to build your own, a good starting antenna that a lot of new people will build is the J-pole, the copper J-pole. There's lots of instructions out there, relatively simple. And if you have some issues on how to sweat copper pipe, there's club members that can help you. For HF, it probably the simplest and best antenna to get you on the air and be successful is just your standard dipole. It is the reference antenna, and it works fantastic, whatever band you're on, and that's a good one. But just keep it simple. Just the simplest antennas will get you going, and then as you gain more experience, then you can start going to different style antennas and go from there.
For many, many years, we've been talking 2015, ever since we started. This is season number 9. It's hard to beat a dipole. It really is hard. You can, of course. I mean, there's other things, but when you're just starting out, a dipole, nothing wrong with that.
Don't you know any other goddamn tune?
All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for that. All right. got another question that came in. If you have one, you know what to do. Put a cue in front of it. We'll grab it. We've got some time this evening as we record. And let's get into another one. What's the difference between a double shielded and single shielded coax cable?
Well, the double shielded coax is going to have two braids. So as your standard coax, like RG8 or 213 or RG8X, it's a single shielded coax. So it just has the braid, and then you go to the dielectric in the center, and then you have the center conductor. A double shielded coax is going to be kind of like your LMR 400 or RG214, which is a LMR 400 will have the copper shield, the braided shield, and then it will have a foil that's also wrapped around the insulate, the dielectric, the center dielectric, and then you have your center conductor. RG214 has two layers of braid. So they put the first layer of braid down, and then they put another layer of braid over top of it. So it's two layers. But a double shield is either, braid, aluminum foil or some kind of foil, or two braids. So that's the difference.
All right. Well, thank you for that question. That is wonderful. We got a question here. During the live show, Greg wants to know, how long should you pause to listen after calling CQ?
That comes down to your style of operating. I mean, are you anxious to, try to get out there? I would wait maybe, 20, 30 seconds personally, and then continue on. Give it a chance for someone to get things going. Or I've heard other people that they wait maybe 5-10 seconds and continue on. And so it comes down to your style. I personally think 20 to 30 seconds in between is adequate. And but it all depends how anxious you want to talk to somebody.
Can I tell you, I made a TikTok video about a week or so ago, and hello to everybody on TikTok. If you're listening, we appreciate you. We're growing over there, which is a fun thing for me to do every morning, is to communicate with you. But I heard a guy on the radio recently who called CQ 15 times in a row. Again, this is to each their own. If you want to operate wearing heels, I don't care. Do what you want to do. But I was like, let it breathe, brother. Let somebody get a chance to come back to you. It would be like this. Kilo 0, Sierra Tango Hotel, CQ, CQ, CQ. Kilo 0, Sierra Tango Hotel, K0, STH calling. See, and like over and over. I counted. I wish I could have recorded it 15 times. I counted this guy, and I'm like, is he testing? Like, what is, dude? He could be testing. He could be testing maybe the voice thing in his radio, but like there was no space for you to even come back to talk to him because he went so long. And I'm thinking, this guy never shuts up. Like, I don't know what's right. Like, traditionally, a little glimpse into how I do it because it's good in my mind. I may say, like, this is Kilo 0, Sierra Tango Hotel, Christian in Missouri, K0 STH listening. And then, I'll wait a little bit. I don't hear anything, I'll come on back.
Go on again.
But you got to kind of
It used to
that.
be, when I first got in the 70s, there was a lot of long-winded CQs. And guys would, 5-6 times repetition saying their call and calling CQ, 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 Whiskey 7, Uniform Delta Italy, calling CQ, 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 and just going on and on and on. And it's like, but it was basically, it was to allow someone to kind of tune, because as they're tuning across the band to find you. No. And that was kind of the thought. Nowadays, it's a little bit different because most of our radios, and if you have the People's Radio, you have the waterfall. Super. And so you'll start seeing, and as I'm listening on the band, I'll see a signal pop up, and it's like, oh, what's that? And boom,
Yeah,
you just
click
go
right
right
over.
to it,
Yep.
and immediately. And so our equipment has changed, and so I think our style should change a little bit. The other one is people calling CQ on existing conversations that are going on, and
Some
I
etiquette
don't.
for you.
I'm not going to bust their chops or their stones too much,
think you
because
said,
there's times they won't
nuts.
hear. They won't hear the other people, and it's just the way their propagation is. So you have to be kind of flexible, and hopefully it will work out. I mean, there's times I've been in a conversation with someone, and next thing I know, someone's popping up calling CQ, and it's like, holy smokes. Yeah, the frequency's in use. They didn't hear the person I was talking to, and
Right.
but then they eventually hear me. It's like, oh, sorry.
Whoopsie daisy.
Stuff
Yeah.
happens.
Did you guys hear Steve say, break his stones? Hi, hi.
Hi.
Another question. Hi, hi. Another question. Let's see. How
Good
can I
business,
predict
old man.
propagation conditions
Fine
for my
business.
location?
There is some programs. There's this website that, and oh shoot, I can't remember. It's I think a guy in California that runs it or something, that will do some propagation. You put in your location or your grid square or your lat long, and it will come up with a prediction. But as I always tell everybody, as you start to go farther and farther into the hobby here, study the band, and this takes time, and then you'll kind of get an idea on, okay, I know that 40 meters is going to do this during this time of the day, or this time of the day it's going to do this, and you kind of get a feel for it, and you'll get instinctive on that. That takes time. That takes maybe a couple of years to get into that realm, but there are programs out there or some websites that will kind of help you with their propagation. Look at some of the D expeditions. They have links to, that they're going to forecast like their propagation. I think maybe the Bouvet might have one, because I would think I was looking at that one that they were doing some, and they broke it down by hour, and they showed the map, the world map, and then it was color coded, so they estimate that we're in your location, the signal at this time in Zulu time would be an S5. So it will kind of help you plan your activities if you wanted to work that particular D expedition. So those programs are out there. You just kind of have to search for it.
Interesting comment from DJ W1UED talking about the elephant in the room being the tuner uppers. And yeah, that's a definite, that could be number 5 on the list of best etiquette, and I'll throw it in here now. I mean, don't they realize that that when you're tuned up and you're the next station to call, like and I wait if I hear someone tuning up on frequency and I'm like, I've been waiting to call this station DX or whatever, I'm not coming right on after that guy got tuned up. I'm going to wait it out. I'm like, nope, I'm not coming on.
And then they're messing with their inductor, and it's getting louder, and then it gets quieter. Let's get louder. Let's get quieter.
Steve, talk about tuning up on frequency and what you should do.
That's a bad practice. And part of it is, and I put it into people into two different camps. And either they don't understand what is happening with their radio. So to tune up, you got to put RF out. And depending on your radio, if you use the tune button, it might be 25 watts, say, off of a 100-watt radio, but it's still going to cause some issues on frequency. It's just poor practice, because now you are technically interfering with the conversation that's at hand. And but most people, like when I hear it, I just kind of tune them out in my head, or I just hit the auto notch on the radio, and it just the tune up tone goes away, but the signal's still there. I'm talking to someone that's S3, and I got this S9 signal on my S meter, because there's someone tuning up. And there's been a couple of things people are going, oh no, I got to get the maximum power out of, my antenna has to be tuned so I have the maximum transfer of power, or I'm going to, get the maximum power out of my amplifier. Just go up the band 5 or 10 kilohertz, find a quiet spot that's not being used, tune up there, and then come back down and then join the conversation. But yeah, it's bad practice to tune up on frequency. And then there's the douchebaggeries, the douchebags and the tools, and they just do it because they're tools.
All right, there you go. A question from John here in our chat. In CW, if someone calls QRL on your frequency, what is the proper answer? A simple yes.
What is QRL? I'd have to look that one up. I'm sorry.
Who's got the answer?
It goes back to the Q calls.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Hi,
super. Hi.
Hi, John. John, hi. Hi. That's funny, John. Hi. I know we got to look that up. Who's got the CW chops here?
I'm sure it'll show up in the chat here in just a moment.
Hang in there, John. I think we have enough time to take another question here. Let's see. Yes. How can I report a person who's breaking the rules of the airwaves?
Oh.
Hi.
FCC. If they're breaking federal laws or Part 97 rules, then you can make I think there is a form on the FCC site that you can report a violation, and that's one way. The league has the volunteer observer program or whatever it is. You can go through that route. So there's a couple of routes you can go, but ultimately, if you feel strongly enough that the person is a habitual rule breaker or it's a violation that you think that really needs to be taken care of, then go the FCC route.
I used to get so mad. I would go to 7200. Now I go there just to let myself know that you're not as crazy as a lot of other people. Like I'll turn it on and be like, I'm okay. I'm still okay because that's crazy town. But I think
Are you busy? Okay.
It goes back to me being a radio guy, and there's a tradition, there's an etiquette and a history there that you respected the elders and the people who went before you. And then I came to amateur radio, and that does exist. And then when you hear that, you're like, what's this all about? Like, who's this Jack Mehoff? Or I'm going to report him to the nearest cop on the beat. Like, I want to tell somebody. And I have sent, it wasn't called the OO program back when I did it. And frankly, I think I lost, I don't know if I want to say confidence in that system. I think people do report, people listen. I think the money at the FCC is tied up in other wireless communications, if you get my drift. And anyway, that's a whole different show. We'll talk about that some other time. But I remember feeling so moved, and the FCC does have their website. You can go there and make that claim if you want. I never heard back. I think I did get an email saying, thanks for sending in this thing. It was like a form letter. And then they, Riley, what was Riley's name? He said, just
Riley
spin the big
Hollingsworth.
dial. And back then I was like, I don't want to spin no dial. I want justice, and now I'm like, I don't expect any disciplinary stuff, going on. And if it happens, sometimes it happens and it shocks you when they drop a $25,000 hammer on somebody's head. Mm-hmm. But as for me being like traffic ban cop and going in and reporting it, I'd just as soon turn it, because I listen a lot with my kids, and I know we're getting pushed up on top of the hour here. My kids will be in the room, and I'll get pissed off if I can't listen to a frequency and my girls are in the room. Like, if you've gone too far there, then I'm offended. But I'll just turn it. I'll just be like, I'm not going to write a letter. But anyway, that's a bit of a tangent as we get ready to wrap up. But thank you all for indulging us in this interesting. We're trying to help the newer hams and the new hams come in and just have some kind of gauge. And this content will get chopped up, and we'll put it up there for anybody who wants to hear it, who needs to see it, hear it. And proper practices, because, mentors are hard to come by these days. So if you can trust anybody and you want to try us, bring it in.
We're here. We're right here.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Aren't you kind? Aren't you kind? Steve, W7UDI,
Hi.
and Scotty, KC3BXN. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here. And it's
Fine
a quick
business,
hour
Chris.
when you're
Fine
having
business.
fun. It's fine business. Hi. And my wife eats apples by the bushel. Hi. I don't know. We got a lot of problems. All right. Over most of these same stations, you can listen to live coverage of the 100 Watts in a Wire Sunday Evening Net. You're welcome to join us over there. Stay tuned if you're right here. Don't go nowhere, Jimmy. Hi.
Looks like Uncle Paul's going to be on 7224. 7224.
All right. 73 guys, take care of yourselves and look after each other the best that you can. And by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise. 73 guys, 73.
7-3, everyone.
73 gang.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsindawire.com.